If you are looking to create your own podcast, I recommend using Anchor because Anchor makes the entire process so much more easy and you could just focus on your content. And not only that, Anchor has a lot of podcasters within it that you can go and find, and maybe you'll end up liking one of them. So go check it out. Hey guys, it's Fabiola Rivas, and welcome to the Fabulous Podcast. Have you noticed that lately all the movies and TV shows, they go back to the past? Especially if you watch Netflix, a lot of 80s stuff really goes into high gear into the shows, and you wonder why movies, they're all just going back to remakes or going back to certain characters. Well, it's that feeling of nostalgia. There is that feeling that a lot of people right now, or in that age group where there was a burst of so many cartoons and TV shows, and we were allowed to be up all day long to watch these. A lot of us grew up in a time where TV shows and all this stuff was going on that it reminds us of a happy place, a lot of us. And it doesn't even have to be the entertainment. It could be certain things like games and toys. It could be all of that stuff. But the feeling of nostalgia, what is it? It's a place in our past where it made us so happy. And I know right now the entertainment is really kicking that into high gear, because now this generation, millennials, are teaching their kids the life they once had, which is all these TV shows and all this stuff. So they want to teach kids the stuff that made them happy, which of course the new generation, their version of happiness is going to be completely different. And it's very interesting to see that. The reason I'm talking about nostalgia is because everything happens from the beginning. Every single thing in our life, good or bad, that we called the inner child. A lot of us want to stay in our inner child state because it was our happy time. A lot of us don't want to let that go. I don't blame you, because there were some really happy times, and I was one of those people. When Sonic came out, I was at the movie theaters watching it because I loved Sonic. It was one of those video games growing up that I really, really loved. Mortal Kombat, when it came out, I was all there because I remember that was a time where my cousin and I were just inseparable. We had this amazing friendship, and it reminded me of that, the good old days where I was just badass and my cousin, we were doing all these fun games, being competitive with each other. That's how I knew I was a very competitive person, because he brought that out of me when we were competing in Mortal Kombat. Once in a while, I will win in those great combos. And it reminds you of that. And there is a lot of bad with our childhood. A lot of bad that we repress. We repress so much bad stuff. And that's where our inner child comes from. It's very interesting because the people who hold on to their inner child the most are narcissists. They are big children who have the deepest wound. And I know that sounds so crazy, but think about the most narcissistic famous person you know, such a child. Why is that? Because there is a wound so deep you can't even dig it out, because it is terrifying to dig it out. And I've said this in the past, how I've listened to therapy sessions. Esther Perel is great at really introducing this idea of opening your eyes to that perspective of hearing therapy session. And every time I hear those sessions, it's the same thing. It all starts with parents. It all starts with the upbringing of a dark, dark past. Everything that is us, everything, our core, and I talk about this all the time, our foundation, it starts from the beginning. And our parents are the first thing. They mold us into who we are. A lot of people I know, including myself, are people pleasers. And I've talked about this in the past. I was molded into that way. I was rewired that way. I was taught to be that way. And it's very hard to get out of it because that is the only way you know. Like the Mandalorian says, this is the way. This is the way. And in order to get out of this is the way, it means figuring out a new identity for yourself. And it's so scary. And I've seen it firsthand, where I've told my family members, look, this whole people pleasing thing, that's kind of like not good at all. It's really not good. And of course, they think it's insulting and it makes no sense that being too nice is also really bad. Right? And I talk some sense into them, saying like, look, being a people pleaser isn't that great for you, and it isn't great for other people because there's this fakeness to it. And they would be like, you know what, you're right. And then I could see it in their eyes of this idea of, hold up, rewiring my belief system of how I grew up. And then who will I be after that? That's kind of terrifying. It's so terrifying to be somebody that you've been your entire life. How do you function? How do you live when you hardwired yourself that way? So it reflected on me, where they looked at my life and think, you know what? She doesn't have it together. She's not at a successful level. So who's she one to talk? So that is the mind convincing them that their way of thinking is the best way. That's what happens when we go into this uncomfortable survival stuff. Our brain starts this made up world and logical world of why you shouldn't do the things that are uncomfortable, because who wants to do something uncomfortable? And I've seen it in myself. I've seen it when it comes to needles, and I've done that in the past, where I will talk myself into going to the doctor because I am going to get injected in something. They are going to take my blood, and I will convince myself not to go to the doctor because of that. I have to mentally prepare myself for these things. And I've talked about that in the past as well, is that our brains will do that. And that's why it is important for us to control our lives. We have the ability to control our lives. We write our own story, and it starts from the beginning. It starts from somebody saying that is not possible. It is impossible to get what you want, and you believe it. That's why a lot of us, when somebody tells us, oh, you're so pretty, and you don't believe it, that's because somebody conditioned you so deep into believing that being ugly is your natural state of being. Every flaw that something said you are not good enough is followed by something that told you that you aren't good enough, and you started believing it, and it is rewired in your brain. So if you want to get to the core, start with your inner child. There is a child there that needs to be spoken to, that needs to know that everything is going to be okay, that needs to know that they are beautiful, that they are enough. And that is the adult you. The adult you needs to have that conversation with that child and come to terms with many things. And it's not easy because, again, it's rewiring your brain of thinking to new. It's rewiring your way of thinking to new things. And it's very, very uncomfortable. It's literally like going to the gym for the first time where you do a push-up and then it hurts the next day and it's very uncomfortable, but it's the only way to build muscles. And I'm going to inspire you a little more to look at your inner child. And that is how you manifest things. And I've talked about this in the past, that you can truly manifest anything you want. It's so possible. Again, you write your life. Now, here's the thing. When all your deep, dark wounds are playing with your manifesting, it comes alive. So, for example, let's say you want to manifest the best relationship, right? Okay, let's say the person of your dreams is right there, standing in the doorway, everything you ever pictured. And then you get jealous when you talk to somebody. Why are you jealous? Why are you offended? Why does it trigger you? Well, let's go back to the past. So that is manifesting, but that is manifesting everything that is you. So let's say you want to be famous. Well, everyone is going to point out your flaws, every single one of them. And you're going to believe it because somebody told you you're not good enough in the past. So it's going to come to play. Everything is going to come to play. And if you don't believe me, look at your last relationships. Look at where you want to go and where you are right now. It's going to paint the picture why you are exactly where you are right now. And I know it's playing the game on yourself. But until we own up to our life, until we have that conversation with our younger self, we will not know why we keep manifesting bad stuff, why things trigger us all the time. It becomes very freeing when you understand why you get mad, how to calm yourself down. You can really control you. So when you know your brain is about to convince you not to do anything, you understand why. You understand why that's coming. And I say this all the time. Start with your parents. All those triggers that your parents have, I am telling you 100% that those triggers tell you exactly where you are in life. And it's exactly what you need to work on. Now, for example, the people pleasing. My family has that people pleasing ability, and it used to piss me off when they would do it. It used to piss me off when they would be fake, because I used to be exactly like that. And now it's the reverse of, I get pissed off when they are people pleasing because I know they can have a better life. But then guess what? They aren't my responsibility. I once had to take care of my family because that's my culture. That's the culture I grew up in. And that's another belief I gotta get rid of, is that I am not responsible for anyone but myself. If somebody doesn't believe in this amazing life that I believe in, that is their birthright. Why am I getting mad that they don't see it? They don't want to be like me. They choose their belief system. They see the struggles I've been through. They see how open-minded I've become, and some things are too open-minded that it's uncomfortable for them. Why would they want to be like that? That's how they see it. And it's not their fault. It's just they don't know what I know. And I can't do anything about it. And that's not my responsibility. I am not responsible for my family. And it sounds like so selfish of like, what do you mean you're not responsible for your family? I mean, so many cultures, it's about family. Fast and the Furious puts that on a billboard. It's about family all the time, which I totally get it. But you aren't responsible for other people. You just aren't. You did your job and you're here to live a life. You came out of the womb alone. You didn't come with a family package. You came out alone as one individual. So that is not your responsibility. It is there to help you grow. Of course, everything in your life is very important. And sometimes maybe you do have to take care of somebody. Cool. Do it because you want to, not because it's a transactions. Go back to the beginning. You don't owe anyone anything. You do not. And prove me otherwise, because you do not. But again, you write your own story in this. And if you want to get deeper with your core, think back. Think back to who you were. Think back who molded you. Because it starts with that. You don't start as a baby right away thinking you're not good enough. You laugh at things. You bite into things that make no sense. When we were kids, we were so curious about anything. We would pick our nose. We would eat our feet. My sister used to do that. She would literally take her whole foot and put it in her mouth. It was disgusting. But she didn't know that. She didn't know that was disgusting. I mean, obviously, I see it now. She's like, ew, oh my God, why are you telling people that story? That's nasty. But we don't know. We have this innocent in us during that time. And of course, our brains are developing and all this stuff. But there was an innocent to us. And the world molded us. Every single factor. Are the people around us, our environment, our culture, our ancestors. Oh my goodness, there's so many things that molded us. And don't even get me started with past lives. What? Past life. Yes. There is also a belief system how previous past lives affect you into who you are. So yes, that's a lot of work in that part, because it's like breaking the mold in your ancestors, breaking the mold in past life, breaking the mold in your environment, breaking the mold in your brain. A lot of work. But you get to choose what stays in and what stays out. So for example, I have a friend who is OCD. She loves cleanness. She loves it too. Everything has to be super duper clean. Even her body. She showers like 3 times a day. Probably more. I don't know. She showers a lot because cleanliness is her thing. It might sound really bad, right? Being super, super clean. But to her, it's awesome. It's a curse, but a gift to her. Something that she will never change. And she said that. I don't care. I like being OCD. It's just who I am in general. Some people are okay with that. And I have yet to ask her what the trauma behind that is, because that is a trauma. She says, whatever it is, I love it. Some things that you think are bad could be beneficial in that sense. Another thing, I'm a workaholic. I work my butt off. And it comes from generations of working butts off a lot. And I mentioned this in the past. It's something I'm not going to change. I like to work hard. I love the meaning behind it. I love it. Sometimes I'm like, this is too much. What am I doing to myself? But it's what keeps me excited. I love having a million things to do in one day. It's exhausting as hell, but it gives a meaning to me. Will I change that? Hell no. No. I mean, of course, there's a balance with taking time off and all that stuff. There is always a balance in things. But there are things that are bad that you can keep. It's about building your core foundation of who you really are and going from there. It all starts from the beginning. So if you're a jealous person and you want to keep that, keep that. If you think being jealous motivates you, keeps you healthy in some way, keep it. If you think it destroys everything, then that's a problem. And I mentioned this in the past too. I'm a very competitive person by nature. Like, I like to look at someone next to me, see what they're doing, and I'm going to be better. I do it in a healthy way. And I've talked about this in the past. I do it in a healthy way that keeps me going. It's not about comparing. It's about keeping it going. Like Marvel and DC. I know they're two very different things, but they like to compete with each other. Samsung and the iPhone, always competing with each other, but it's healthy because they are improving each other. They are improving technology. It's kind of fascinating. And look at that, Netflix, and now it's competing with Disney. It's competing with Hulu, whatever else is out there, HBO, healthy competition. It's just always reinventing the wheel. So those are the negative traits that you can keep in your life. It's all about what you don't want to keep, which is feeling not good enough. I think that's one of the things that we gotta release ourselves. It's a lot of homework, but it's very, very freeing. The moment we feel good enough to have everything we ever wanted, to feel good for our partner, our friends, our life, so much is going to show up, so much. But again, all the trauma and stuff, it goes into what you want to manifest in life. Here's another great story before I send you guys off. One of the things that I used to feel is that I still need to prove that I belong on film sets. Like, I needed to prove, like, yes, I belong here, hire me. I will work my butt off so you can hire me next. I will go the 9 mile because I deserve this, and I'm going to show you I deserve this. Those people never call me back, ever. I had to figure out how to make a road for myself, because that's what I needed to do, because my lesson was not to depend on other people. And then I realized, what is this I need to deserve? Who am I trying to prove to that I deserve? It was my family. I had to show that I belong to the place that I said I wanted to be a part of. Well, sooner or later, I started doing it for me, not them, when I realized I was doing it because I wanted to prove a point. The moment it became about having fun and just working my butt off for me, for my dreams and my goals, everything changed, because I thought, wait, okay, so I know I deserve to be in it. Why am I trying to prove it to people, right? It becomes, again, I was on these sets that sure wanted me to see how hard I wanted this job. It was just those people that's like, how badly are you willing to go, right? Negative, shitty people. And it was a reflection of my family. And the moment I let that go, the better jobs started coming, because I knew I deserved an amazing pay. I knew I deserved everything I ever wanted. And that was the difference, was that I knew my worth. I knew how much I was worth, money-wise and time-wise and emotionally wise. And I started getting better people, because I said no to shitty people who were like, okay, let's see what you're capable of doing, and we're going to give you a little money because I know you're going to work really hard for it, right? And now I'm like, no, I own up to it. And now it's like I have my own little business, because there is a certain manifestation that I was doing wrong, and there was one I was doing right. I mean, it goes however you want it in this story. But the wrong way for me was trying to prove something to my family, and it was manifesting its way to what I wanted to do, which was sets, right? I wanted to be in movie sets. Completed, mission granted. Then when I said, no, I'm doing this for me, it's not about them. Okay, it's time to focus on me. What do I want? I'm already on set. What do I want? I want to get to the big leagues. I want to create something amazing, different atmosphere. Now I'm working for me. I ain't doing it for nobody else. Constantly getting jobs, but picking the jobs that are worth my time. And it sounds so conceited, but again, creating my life, creating what I want. I see the future in my mind. What do I have to change to get there? What do I have to do? It goes back to your partner. What's your ideal partner? What do you want in a partner? Make a list of that and work on those things for you. That is the self-love of it, is that child needs to be nurtured. That child needs that self-love that it's never gotten from the adult that it's deserved, which is you. You are that adult. Stop looking somewhere else for that adultness, because that other person is also having childhood stuff, because you are a mirror. You are going to attract the people going through the same stuff as you, and that's where the clashing starts. I mean, even in friends, even in relationship, it's all gonna clash. Even in business partners, guys, it all comes out like that. Every single person is a mirror. So crazy how that happened. And if you don't believe me, again, look around you. Everything you've ever manifested, you're gonna manifest it with the people who have inner wounds exactly like you. So when you start realizing that, it's gonna blow your mind off. And be free, guys. Be free of your child state. And I know it's gonna be a panic attack when you confront yourself, and it's very uncomfortable. Believe me, it can get very uncomfortable. But once you forgive your child, once you nurture it, once you give it the love it deserves, everything becomes magic. All right, guys. I will see you guys next time. Bye.